minute, you are seated in a familiar territory with a song on your lips. Then the pink slip comes. The rejection letter arrives. The doctor calls. There is someone special, someone important in your life is sick. The divorce paper from your loved husband, from your loved wife are delivered. The check bounces, and that is where you had hope and faith. A policeman knocks on your door. There is someone that needs to be taken out of your home to jail. You are sucked into a black coven of doubts, doused into the cold water of reality, and is stung in the hot air of empty promises. And because the life that had been so calm, the life that has been so swift, the life that had been so nice is full of storms. It moves from calm to chaos. You are hailstormed by demands, assailed by doubts of life, and it is somewhere in your life, and somewhere in the trauma you lose your joy. Somewhere in the trauma you lose your song. Somewhere in the storm you lose your happiness. Somewhere when life is so swift and life is so sweet, you lose your husband. Somewhere in the midst of in the peak of this life, you lose your loved one. You lose your girlfriend. You lose your wife. You lose your husband. Somewhere in the peak, in the most sweetest part of your life, you lose your best friend. You lose your job. You are jailed. You are in the midst of trouble that you figure out and you fail to understand. Ever found yourself in a stormy life? Ever found yourself in a storm of life? If so, the message I have today, from calm to chaos, is your message. Because Jesus, he found himself in such a life. Because there is a day of the life of Jesus, my brother and sister, that you need to understand, that you need to know about, aside from the day of crucifixion, aside from what the Son of God went through during his period of crucifixion. There is a most stressful day in the life of Jesus that we normally forget about. And this is the day when Jesus found himself in storms with his disciples. Because let me give you the things that happened and brought to these things. And when Jesus came into the storms, because there was a rolling sequence of bad news, there was a demanding cloud of people that were hungry and needed Jesus to feed them. There were doubting friends walking with Jesus. Jesus had a 24-hour day full of challenges, full of storms. And you and I sometimes face. They had the waves of precious Islam. There were winds of anxiety below. There were clouds of darkness below. And Jesus was in the midst of storm. But what I love about Jesus, he went through this, but he never missed the soul. He endured the day without losing the joy. He endured the day without losing the song. Life is like that sometimes, my brother. There is a time that you are happy. There is a time that you are crying. There is a time that you are full of joy. And there is a time you are shedding tears. Giants in life's journey that are so glassy as a midnight lake on a windless night. But there is no noise, no storms, no rushing, no crisis. At that time, something comes in and your life is in a mess. There are measures in our music where the conductor silences the kintredom and the flute is allowed to sing. But come as a way to turn into chaos. The day in Jesus' life when they come could have become chaos as an element of anxiety. Bad news and death, threat. He had bad news of the Apostle John, of John the Baptist. There was death, threat in his life, followed by the swimming demand of people, interruptions of everywhere, inert disciples, fake friends around him. But what I love about Jesus, he never lost the song. So brothers and sisters in your life, there was a life in your life that you faced the storms. There was a place in your life, there was a peak there was a point in your life that you faced challenges. But what I love about Jesus, he never lost the song. But he still stood firm and he said, I'm not going to be interrupted with the things that are happening in this life. So even if life has changed from calm to chaos, still God is going to walk with you, and God is going always to be with you. Brothers and sisters, I'm wishing you the best in this life. If your life is in a stormy position, I'm praying God to walk with you and walk always with Him. For this is my prayer for your life. I'm going to wish you a good night from Universal Adventist Ministries. We're here to bring this news to you. For this is my prayer for you. Let's have the word of prayer. Our Father and our God in heaven, thank you for the gift of life, and thank you for what we are going through. We know that indeed we shall overcome, even if our lives are in storms. May you hold our hands and walk with us. For this our prayer in Jesus' name.